Time. Sorry, I was a couple seconds late there. I just was wrapping up another call,
No worries.
and I'll take me a second to get information. Tell me a little bit about tell me your story of your property management, and tell me a little bit about yourself.
Sure. So I started in property management in Alabama. It was my ex-husband was a property manager. We managed some townhomes down in Dothan, and then went a little further north. And then decided that that wasn't for me, including the husband. So kind of switched gears and actually managed some mobile home properties
Okay.
for a while. During that adventure, I learned that I was an exceptional trainer, so they made me a district trainer, and I was running my property. So during that time, I was traveling to 5 different states, training, hiring new employees while running my 200 home property. That was a lot of fun.
Hmm.
Um, and then I kind of decided the mobile home thing was fun, but not really for me. So I had some friends here in Ohio that was building her portfolio and was trying to set up her software rent manager, and was just kind of struggling with streamlining everything and getting everything together. So I did that for her. Moved up here. When she got on her feet, I then, because there was no insurance, there wasn't anything like that. I then decided to go back into the multifamily, and that's where I was at 5812. And that had like 598 units. They sold
Yeah,
the property.
I just got your resume up, so okay.
Yeah.
I'm looking at it. All right, got it.
Yeah, so they sold that property, and then I was approached by Mr. Drucker, who has the landing downtown Dayton, and he's a private owner, and have been there ever since. Um, it, Something's happening that I'm not at liberty to disclose at this time, and that's all I can say. I'm sure you'll put two and two together. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. Also, is a private owner. I have never worked for a better person in my life. He's an amazing man. But also on the flip side, we don't have benefits, just simply because he only owns 3 properties. So he's not big enough to offer all the benefits that I need at my age.
I feel like I took a tour of the landing with the GDAA a couple years ago. I
You
don't that
probably did. They were owned by Crawford and Hoyne. Um, Gordon purchased it April of 2020, I believe,
Okay.
maybe 21.
Okay. Yeah. Gotcha. So you're using Rent Manager there today?
Yes. Yep. Now
Okay.
at Avalon we used Yardi. The only one I had never really used is Appfolio, but I mean
Hmm.
they're all pretty much the same.
Yeah, I mean it's a pretty easy system,
Yeah.
and I mean if it just takes a little while to figure your way out around it.
Yeah, you just have to learn how to navigate.
Okay, so let me go back to the resume. Okay, so you've been at the landings, and so did you get when the did you guys just do a big capex project, or
We've
are
done
you?
some the building's old, right? 95 years old.
Yeah.
So she's a little needy, to say the least. So the roofs were redone. The roof on the tower, which is the tall building, those
Hmm.
were redone last year. Um, the elevators are currently right now, the mechanisms, all of that is getting replaced. We also, you remember me telling you we had fire pump issues? So our fire suppression system completely failed. The pump cracked, and we've been on fire watch for about 12 weeks.
Who's doing
So
your fire? Who's Are you doing your fire watch yourself, or?
internally, we're tired.
I uh I know that game well.
Yes. And the
I
fire
had a
chief,
build.
him is he's on us all the time. He put the little notes on our door that let the residents know that we're not protected under fire suppression system. Sorry, my butterfly is ringing. Let me get rid of that. And so it's been a fun adventure. The property is just old and it has needed a lot of love. We've done a lot of landscaping projects. So our capex is completely, you know, after the fire suppression, we're done with the capex stuff. So
Yes, everything you talked about, I know well.
well, these old buildings are, you know, they were built different, and so we still have poly plumbing. We still have you ever heard of a meta block?
Nope. What is
So
that?
it's our plumbing. It's how the water feeds into all the units. And it's really just this square box that's got 10 lines running on each side, hot, cold. That's what feeds the entire apartment. Um, and they're a nightmare. There's no shut-offs on them. So once they leak, you know, they leak.
Yeah. Um, so tell me a little bit about your experience with the elevators. Are you guys doing a full modernization or are you just piecing them
Yeah.
together?
Yeah, we are not just the mechanisms. So basically all of the pulleys, all of the up in the 14th floor, so all of the things that make them go up and down basically is what we're replacing. The full like replacing the interiors and everything was, you know, like 200,000 and that was not in the budget.
Oh, it's probably more than that to do a full
Yeah,
modernization.
it was a lot.
Um, who's your elevator vendor that you're working with?
Schindler.
Schindler. Okay. Um, and so how big is the teams that you've been running? I mean, I have to imagine when were you was is community director the same thing as property manager
It is.
at 5812?
It is.
And
So
so
5812, I had 5 maintenance men, 2 porters, 4 leasing agents, an assistant manager, and myself.
okay.
Here, we have 167 units, so I just have the 2 maintenance men, 1 porter, and a leasing manager.
Okay. And what type of reporting are you used to doing for your owners? I mean, I would guess 5812 is pretty good sized group. Were you reporting to a regional and how often were you reporting? What did that look like?
So I reported to the regional, and we had monthly owner meetings because it was privately owned. So I had to, you know, prepare all of the paperwork. Like I forget what it was called now. It's been like 2.5 years, but there's a specific report that I would run, and I have to monitor like where we are on budget with almost each unit. Like he wanted a breakdown of each unit that we were rehabbing because we had rehab processes going on. So the owners meeting, I pretty much had to be accountable for all of the expenses, all of the budgets, expected occupancy, and we did that monthly.
Tell me about your Excel skills. Do you get around in Excel very well?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, once you learn it, you know it.
I I had an interview yesterday and I was interviewing another potential candidate and said, well, I don't know how to use any Excel. I'm like, I don't know how you survive in this business.
Right.
So, um, so pretty comfortable with that. So you're used to working one directly, you know, I own 60% of the property. My family does the portfolio. So, you know, this really reports to me. Um, you know, I try not to get in the way, try not to micromanage. Um, and so you're used to, it seems like you have reported directly to an owner
Mhm.
and you've reported to regionals. So you have that. That's good. I mean, how is your current owner? He's a really, really good guy. And how's that
Very
relationship?
involved. Very,
Very
very
involved.
involved. Yep. We have daily conversations. You know, if he has questions, he'll call, he'll ask questions. He, you know, at this, but at the same time, he knows that I'm okay to make executive decisions, and if it's
Okay.
under $5,000, he just lets me do what I need to do. If it's over 5,000, we talk about it. We try to get, where we want to be as far as in the budget. So it's a very close relationship.
Is he local?
He is not.
Okay. And okay. See what other stuff that I have. Tell me. So you're using Rent Manager. You've used Yardi. What other pieces of property tech, prop tech have you used? Um, and are you using any? What are you doing for marketing? Are you using any other software services?
So we use Findigs. That's who runs our applications. We have the Rent Manager app suite, which is basically just your remote on your phone that you can look at all of the work orders, that you can do move outs, you can do move in inspections. So we use that quite a lot here. As far as marketing, we're basically on apartments.com. We just upped our package to like the highest you can get. And we get a lot of leads from that. We also use LeaseHawk, which is basically a glorified AI to answer your phones and set appointments for you. I'm not entirely sure that it's necessary, but we do use that. So
I forget. I can go look it up. I have a CoStar account, and I can probably see the occupancy. What occupancy are you guys at right now?
So we just terminated the contract with Shorelight UD. Have you heard of them?
Mhm.
So Shorelight is a company that works with UD Global. They bring in foreign students, and every 4 months they bring in new students. They move them out, they move them in. We had rented probably 25, 27 units to them. They were here for about a year and a half, and it was a disaster.
Yeah.
They destroyed the property. They destroyed the units. It was just phenomenally unsuccessful. So we eliminated that contract. So we have 27 vacant units right now, and they're all the Shorelight units.
Okay. All right. Tell me, so tell me about sounds like you have a pretty lean staff. So you're really getting out and looking at all of the units. I mean, because you're right there in the building, right? You just go up, and so you're heavily involved. Are you doing the ordering of supplies, or is that your maintenance?
We do it together every Wednesday morning. We go through our supply list. We see what we need. We see what we have. With the vacant units, with the Shorelight, who needs absolutely everything, we are pre-ordering. Like it's a daily process. We go in and make sure nothing's leaking, nothing's. So I'm out in this property way more than I am in the office. Sometimes that's my own detriment. But because of the situation that we're in with the students, it has just been imperative that I'm in these units at least once a week to find out what's going on. We also walk the vacants every day. Our porter does that. Um, so with the ordering it's a mutual, because I want to know what's coming in the building, and I also want to know
Yeah.
where it's going.
Sorry, my wife's trying to call me, and I just needed to say, send me a text.
You're fine.
Um, okay, so are you managing a lot of these CapEx projects? Are you, or is your owner?
I manage all of them. He basically just pays the bills.
Okay. Okay.
We also just, I
Um,
don't know if you've been by here recently, but we redid the steps up leading into the tower, and we put in LED handrails, and there's still 2 more handrails that need to go up, and it's in the process right now. It looks so good.
um, good. I've asked a lot of questions. What questions do you have of me?
So I have a bunch because I'm a very prepared person.
Good. Fire away.
Okay, good. You obviously have a CapEx budget. So how on track is your CapEx budget right now? Like, are you going over? Are you right where you should be?
Um, so that's a great question. Um, we're we've had some challenges. So the way I try to manage things is I'm always expecting a $50,000 curveball. Okay, always a curveball. And so our biggest challenges right now are our elevators and plumbing. You know that. And given the time of year, HVAC. So I just try to always, and because I am the owner and we haven't done a great job, I'll be honest, like the past 10 years, this is a long answer. In the past 10 years, I've been so busy in my other portfolio than this one. This thing was just printing money. And I honestly was not paying very close attention because we have just been making so much money. And so we haven't been strict about budgets. We just got a new CFO. He comes from the affordable side, but he's a fractional CFO, and he's wanting us to be more diligent on budgets, and I just haven't done a great job of that. And so there isn't a, we just kind of make sure we're a little bit reactive, but we are in this for the long haul. We have great financing through 2028, to the end of 2028. We're not, we this is a cash flow property for us. And so one of the things that just happened is these elevators. And so what I did is I cut distributions to the investors. And so we have a stockpile of money now around $350,000. Plus we're building 10,000 a month for reserves. And so we are trying to manage the CapEx budget to be ready to do an elevator modification should we have to. And so we're being proactive on our CapEx. Like two of the properties have, the original elevators. And so we're spending 40,000 in each of those properties to redo the doors, redo to do a thorough cleaning to try to get these things to kick the can, so to speak. And so we really try to identify the really, really big things and make sure we have money, because these elevator mods are about 750,000 per building. And we think we have two in the next couple of years. So we're just trying to make sure we have the money, and it sits in a money market account making 4.5% interest, so the investors are happy. So we just try to be not too, the roofs, when I bought the properties in 2016, the roofs are in good shape. So we're new. And so we have to sort of think about that. So we haven't done a great job of like, oh, we're $5 over. We're just like, okay, let's make sure we have money. What do we need to do? So that's a long answer about CapEx, but we have some
Okay.
big things. We need to be ready for it. But I don't think we have, I think we're doing pretty good. We're stockpiling money for a rainy day fund.
Okay, and do you build those budgets, or is that something I would do?
I think you would take the first pass at that. And we have a list that we put together for 2024. And, it's about time to start thinking about that. So I would think that we would put that together initially, like, hey, walk around the building and say, let's do this, or here's some things I know about. And then have you go out and get some quotes and start to think about the real cost. So we would work on that budget together.
Okay, perfect. Do you have any long-term rehab projects going on? Or I know two of the properties are a little bit older. Do you have expectations to do rehabs in those buildings other than elevators, or is it basically what's high on the list right now?
So 617 West Riverview, you'd probably know the building. We just got done with a major rehab, and we're in kind of lease up. We're at 72% since the beginning of the year. And so frankly, I am not excited about any major rehab projects. I am burnt. Okay. And I am burnt out on that for right now. What I found in these properties is that it's just incremental value add improvements that we can do, nothing major. I haven't been successful. Anytime I try to do a $5,000 kitchen I just don't get it back. And
Mhm.
so it's really, I look at this as the portfolio is pretty stabilized. So we don't have major, we just did, in 2016, we did almost all the common areas at Park Lane. We spent 600,000 there. We did the lobbies. We try to do two, two hallways a year in each building. So there's those ongoing, just so every year we're doing two and kind of keeping it up. We already did, in three of the buildings, we did a big LED project a couple years ago. So coming up, I think the main thing is the elevators and the ongoing HVAC replacements and the plumbing. We don't have any like massive projects planned. Elevators keep us busy.
Yeah, I know. And what about your fire suppression system? Is it's working properly?
I'll tell you, 617, I'm fighting with Silco. So when you said that, I put a whole new system in there and it has been going off. Uh, I've been fighting with them. It went off Friday night, it went off Saturday, it went off yesterday. So they're trying to get me a new panel, but
Mhm.
that's a whole new system. All the other buildings we have, I'd have to go back and look, but I feel like we've replaced the panels in probably three of the four buildings. And when I bought them, they weren't even, we've had to connect them to the system. So I have a great relationship with Aaron Thomas and the Dayton Fire Department down there. At least I did until my alarm started going off and Silco wouldn't take ownership of it. But I think it's in pretty good shape. And I know we've spent, I'd have to go back and look, but we've spent a good bit of money on that, on the fire suppression.
Yeah, it can be a pain.
We had we had a we had a we had a fire watch at 617 for 8 weeks, so I can relate.
It's a little harsh. My assistant's calling me. Give her sorry, can't talk right now.
Okay.
um, we kind of touched on occupancy. What is the occupancy and what is the expectation of occupancy?
So right now, let me just run today. I just have it up. Um, so let me pull it up. This is without Riverview. We're at 91 today.
That's pretty good. And what is the
Um,
expectancy? Like, where do you want to be at?
I really would like to get to 95. I feel like
95 to 97.
I feel like I've been stuck on 93 for a while. Again, it's that balance of how much to increase. I think we've been averaging rent growth around somewhere between 2 to 4% is what I just went through and did. Um, Now Executive House, I have a refinance I'm in the process of. And so I bought a Diamond Plus and we're spending $6,000 a
Mm-hmm.
month on that. And that's at 97%, which is where I want it to be. We have two down units. Um,
Okay.
and then Riverstone is occupancy challenge. I feel like there at any given time there is one building. It kind of ebbs and flows. Like one building will get to what other one will we're at 97, but then we'll be at 89, right? And so while I've got the Diamond Plus on Executive House for 6 months, now we have to channel all those leads in and redirect them to Riverstone because it needs to go back up. So um, they're doing pretty well. And frankly, that's why I don't have I don't have a manager right now or an assistant manager because they let the occupancy drop into the 80s on Executive House when I started the refinance, and that might cost me $200,000 in proceeds.
Oh,
So,
yes.
you had one job, right? Like keep the building that we're refining occupied. And
I was gonna ask about that. Because the two girls were there for a long time. Like Bobby Sue stops by all the time,
mhm.
and she's like, "Oh, this just happened." I'm like, "Well, by the way, Bobby Sue likes to talk."
I know
But
Bobby Sue well.
she didn't really tell us anything, and I'm like, okay, what really happened there? But normally it's when stuff like that happens, there is a huge internal problem that nobody else is ever really going to know about. So
Well,
yeah.
I'll be honest. Like I said, was so busy. I have 2 buildings under construction right now. I have 2,000 units I'm a partner in Texas. It's probably my fault. I wasn't paying attention as much as I should. And when the economy changed, interest rates went up, I started digging into operations and I didn't like what I saw. And so I started holding people accountable and they didn't really gel well with that.
Hmm.
And then the more I found, the more I dug in, I just saw way too many inefficiencies. And when I started asking questions, they just didn't like that. And they didn't want to be held accountable and they walked out on me. And, we did really well for 7 years, but
They
once
got
I started saying
comfortable.
they got too comfortable and, why are we faxing Guardian Water and Power instead of emailing the list? Like just anyway, they were either going to be let go or they were going to walk out. It was just, I was finding too much stuff that was inefficient and not not the way would do business in 2024.
I got you.
I was going to tell you when I had you take the behavioral survey. Thank you very much. It's extremely helpful. You were labeled. I have it up. You were labeled as a technical expert. Okay. So
Okay, that makes sense.
that's where it spits out, and I'm using a third party who's actually my mindset coach, business coach, who's helping me with this. And so he's the one who's reads the surveys. He doesn't look at he sees your name, he sees none of your resume, nothing, and says, these are the 5 people you need to call. And so that's how we got to where we are today through he knows nothing about your background, says you need to call Patty McClure. She's a technical expert. And some people show up as coordinators, persuaders, all these things. So I just wanted to share that with you.
Well, thank you.
Um, and so, this is a really good opportunity for someone to come in and bring their knowledge and their systems. And because we just haven't had good systems in place,
Hmm.
I felt like the folks were just winging it. And that's just not how we want to do it in 2024.
Well, it's not very
And
efficient.
no. And so this is a chance so right now I have an interim PM who's a friend of mine. He's commuting from Columbus, who's running it. And he's a hands-on PM. He's out there with the maintenance guys. Work orders have been a real challenge for us. We were running 10 days to get things done. I'm like, guys, we cannot do that.
That was one
And
of
there
my
was just
questions, what your turnaround time was for work orders.
so yes, it was 9 days. And I'm like, this is unacceptable. And so Stephen, the interim, is now focusing literally hands on, going and doing work orders for us to get it down. That's the pain point right now is work orders. And I have an
I'm sorry.
interim PM, assistant property manager, and then just a temp working the front desk. And I've been going to the property 3 to 4 days a week. Excuse me. And so this is a step right in. And Stephen is actively looking for a job. He's got a little kid. He doesn't want to live in Dayton, and
Hmm.
neither does his wife, but he's committed to staying around to help transition. And he's a 13-year Appfolio user.
Oh,
So,
nice.
and so we're looking at every system right now and saying, how can we do better? How can we streamline this? How can we be more efficient? And then we just talk about it and try to do a little bit of change. Also, the other challenge I found, and I'm probably talking too much, but maybe I'm answering questions.
You
Um,
are.
um, I managed my family's portfolio in Columbus, which was C-class property, scattered sites, for 10 years. And we when I bought this portfolio in 2016, I was still the same with the family. And then I broke it off in 2018 under my own company. But my sister's over there, and what we've found is it's probably makes sense for us to have a shared services agreement to where she has a rock star of an AR person. And so we have sort of outsourced the collection of rents to the family business. And we were just talking about this. We're going through, and there were so many people paying late. We're like, this is unacceptable. We're spending too much time trying to collect rent. So her and I just chatted yesterday, and we're like, we have a 3-month plan to retrain the residents. And here's what we're going to do. We're going to do this, and then we're going to send this strict compliance note, and we're going to do this. So, those are things and between the two groups, we have a lot of years of experience. And so, anyway, so that's kind of one of the things that we're looking at trying to get more efficient.
So, basically go through with what you just said, when I first came to the landing, they had 78 work orders. And it was like you said, it was taking them, 9 to 10 days to get to one work order. And I fired everybody. I'm not even gonna lie. I just fired everybody and started over. And it took, they say 1 out of every 10 you get a good maintenance man. I went through all of those 9, and I finally did get a good one. And we're at a point now where we have 3 work orders, and if it's a water, you're there right now. I don't care what you're doing. Anything else is a 24-hour to 48-hour turnover time, depending on the seriousness of the issue. So our residents now do not wait any longer than 48 hours for a work order, and our renewals are reflecting that. People just want to stay now because they know they're okay. Delinquency, when I stepped in, it was, and I think because he still calls the office, the previous manager that was here, he had 7 people that were not paying rent at all. Which we learned a lot about him. So if you get somebody that you interview that says that he worked at the landing, be careful. Anyway,
Okay.
so I do not have one person that pays after the 5th, not one. It's like you said, it's
Right.
all about training the residents. If you follow the process, if you put a process in order and you follow it to a T, they learn very quickly that they cannot stretch those limits or they're going to be homeless. So it's
Yeah.
really easy to retrain your residents if you just follow the process.
Yeah. You're right. Yeah, the speed to complete work orders and is my family business's secret sauce. That's what,
Absolutely.
and it is, and that's what you're exactly right. It shows up in your renewals. I have a turnover report that I run every year. We've been tracking it since we bought it, and we got the portfolio down to 34% turnover rate. And then last year we had close to 50. Okay, can't do that.
Yeah. No.
So, and that's a reflection of speed to complete work orders. Um, so, those are some of the challenges, like, you know, um, is getting those work orders done quicker. And, they're, again, this is an opportunity with the culture index, the survey you took. I was talking about this, and my next call is with my coach. And we were talking about this, and what we want to do is, as soon as we hire the PM, he would work with you to do the same thing with the behavioral survey to find APMs, and then work with you to help hire that right person that complements your skill set. So this is an opportunity for you to come in, and rebuild the team with the right people. We've never used a service like this, and it's pretty darn impressive.
Yeah.
So, and then once we got the team in place, he flies up, and we do a 2-day training all together to get the team aligned. So, it's a pretty good. I'm really liking this. Is the first time I've done it, and I'll tell you, he pulls the names out, and I've talked to a lot of good people. I've talked to a couple misses, but I've talked to a lot of good people through this process, and I think it would work really, really well when it comes to hiring the APM.
It gives you good problems where you're
Yeah.
like, oh, well, who do I choose from now?
Yeah,
That's a good
yeah.
problem to have.
So do you have a commitment to your current manager for, I probably can guess what's happening, but, um, when are you looking to make a change?
You know, I would need to give him a minimum of 2 weeks, because it will be a challenge to find somebody for that property. Um, and he's just a really good man. He just is.
Yeah, you feel loyal to him to,
Very much so. Very much so. But I understand the decision that he's making. He's the property, because of its age, is bleeding money right now.
Mhm.
And it financially just does not make sense for him anymore. And I 100% get that. And on the other side of it, financially doesn't make sense for me anymore because I have no, because it's just him, 3 properties. There's no benefits. There's no, like, the bonus structure is just not there at all, really. And there's no benefits, like there's no 401k, there's no insurance, there's no, like, nothing. So for me, at my point in time, it's just I need more security, I think.
Mhm.
And then, so I've been through a sell of a property once, and you just don't know who is coming in, and you don't know if they're going to keep you for 6 months and absorb all of your information and then release you.
Yeah, it rarely works out when I bought and sold a lot of property, and it usually doesn't. The reason someone's buying it most of the time is because there's management's bad.
Mhm.
Um, and so it usually they want to bring their own team.
Right, which makes sense because they know and trust their own people. They already know their
Yeah.
structure and how they want things done, which it completely makes sense. Um, but for us, and if he bought another property, he would move me into that property, but he's not looking in the Dayton area anymore. So
Yeah. Okay.
he's over Dayton.
Well, one of the big, another bit, speaking of date, one of the other big challenges we just had is our taxes doubled and our insurance doubled and our taxes, were just reset. So we're working through the challenge of trying to pass that on to the residents, which equates to about $45 per unit per month. Um, but Dayton is still projected to have a 4.4% year over year rent growth.
Hmm.
And so I I keep raising rents and I'm just like, oh my gosh, am I gonna scare people away? I don't I
Our
mean,
thing is we're raising them $60 minimum, which we have found it was 100, and we found that we got a lot of pushback on that. So we lowered it to 60, and so far we have not had a lot of pushback. So that seems to be the sweet point. So it still covers that basic cost of the increase that he's having, plus it puts just a little bit back into the building. So
yeah,
60 is our sweet spot.
okay. Well, I really like what I'm hearing you say. Um, I would like to try to maybe schedule a time to meet in person, walk around the property a little bit, if you'd be interested in that.
Sure. Yeah.
Um, are you able to take an hour?
I'm
Like
supposed to take a lunch every day, but you know how that works.
I do.
So I
Um,
could definitely plan it.
um, okay. I mean, I'm gonna be at the property tomorrow, if you would be available. Friday I am not. Um, so tomorrow is the first time I'm there. My wife has some doctor's appointments. I can't. And I could potentially do Monday.
Monday will probably work best. I have a bank inspection tomorrow. So
Okay.
those usually take 3 4 hours. So Monday would probably be best.
Okay. Well, let's do something Monday. When's a good time for you? I'll have to reschedule a couple things, but that's fine.
Anytime after 12. Monday mornings are always chaotic. So anytime after
Hmm.
12, I'm usually a little evened out.
Okay. You want to say 12:30?
That's perfect.
And let's just meet at you will not be able to meet with Stephen, who's the interim, and he can, eventually I'd like you to, talk with him just because he's new on the property and he brings a different perspective and he's new to working with me, and you can, get feedback on me,
Okay.
and how I work. I think it's always good to you know do your homework. So would you happen to have some references for me that I
I
could?
can I can send you an email.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
How
Great.
many would you like?
I mean, I don't know. A couple. I don't know. What do you?
We'll do 2 to
I
3.
don't know.
How's that?
Okay, that sounds good.
Okay.
Um, I think I have you on here. All right. I'll just send you. Hold on here. I'm on my phone. Park Lane. Let's just meet at the Park Lane leasing office Monday at 12:30.
Okay. That's perfect.
Great. Well, I really enjoyed the conversation. And is there any other questions I can answer right now? Things that you said you had a bunch. I hope I.
I think
Oh,
you covered a lot of them.
I was going to tell you. One of the things when it comes to bonus and that is, I am working with this new system, and one of the things we are talking about, and I haven't had a defined bonus program, and that's something that he is telling me we need to implement, and it's probably tied to something on, with occupancy,
Hmm.
or NOI or something. But that's something that we would want to talk about, because it isn't something um, that we've done a good job of, and we're trying to get a little bit more formal and a little bit more structure. So,
Okay.
so that's open for, creation. So,
Okay.
all right. Well, have a great day and thank you.
You as well. I'll send you over those references shortly.
Great.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Have a great day.